Shut up, Evan. That was 1. Okay. And 3, 2. Did you get the Valerie Cherish?
I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shut up, Evan. Okay, that was the second one. And give me a word.
Aphrodisiac.
And 3, 2. Shut up, Evan.
Jonathan Groff.
Evan Ross Katz.
And this is how we begin our voice memos as well. It is
full names.
a signature of ours.
Yeah.
When you look down at your phone, which is a rare instance, but when you look at your phone and you see a 7-minute voice message from Evan Ross Katz,
Yeah.
the first thing you think is...
Let's fucking go.
Okay.
I feel like this.
Wow.
I feel a little excited. Usually I'll get some like food. Oh my God, is your mom already crying? You're already crying? That's so sweet.
She's not crying, and we're not going to be distracted by her.
Okay. Oh my God, I love her so much.
Oh my
This
God.
is like, you're like me. Oh my God, I love you so much. I feel like this, and oops, sorry. I just said sorry to the microphone. And I usually will have, I don't know, some sushi, a wrap, a yogurt, maybe some cereal, and I'll like eat and listen to the voice note.
You know, on the subject of food, you just did this like GQ profile where they kind of like walk through like the beginnings of your day
Yeah.
and a lot about like your eating habits. And it was all like, you know, like the prototypical like healthy foods, but like what do you like, what's your like indulgence?
I feel like I indulge a lot. Like part of the benefit of 8 shows a week is you can kind of not have to really think about what you're eating.
Yeah.
I mean, I always get the brownie at Dig. I know that's not really an indulgence.
Okay, wait, actually.
The flourless brownie. What?
I have this in my notes.
What?
Dig. Because you mentioned this in the
know.
GQ profile as well.
I know. Here's the thing. I lock in when I get... Have you ever read Twyla Tharp's book, The Creative Habit?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good. And she talks about like when she's developing different ballets, she develops different habits. And even like when and how she puts her sneakers on and the walk she takes to the studio changes based on the project.
Mm-hmm.
So for Marilee, it was exclusively Sweetgreen, exclusively the Harvest Bowl. And that was like the thing. It's not even that I like... It's something about the ritual of it. It's sort of like a basic food that can become a ritual. And with Dig, it's just become that. Dig used to upset my stomach, but somehow I went for Dig in tech rehearsal, and then it locked in to the thing that now it's like, and now I have Dig every day between the shows.
Chicken breast, chicken thigh, meatballs, or tofu?
Charred chicken.
The charred chicken. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, the charred chicken. Okay. I go for the breast. I don't understand why there's an upcharge on chicken breast. I don't understand that. I don't understand why there's an upcharge on brown rice. Not at Dig, but just in general. I just don't understand this culture of like almond milk, 50 cents more. Why?
Yeah,
but
great
with
question.
the chicken breast, a little dry.
That's why you have exactly. I never get the chicken breast.
So charred chicken.
I always get the. Have you ever had the charred chicken?
Yeah, no, I've had. I am very familiar with the Dig game. Not to be a bitch, but for me, Dig was like
5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
when it was Dig in.
Yeah. Why do you rebrand from Dig in to Dig? I just don't. I think that's a tough...
I was just Evan. I was in the car on the way, and I was looking at Dig period on the way here. I was like noticing it, and I wondered, do you think people thought it was a hotel, and so they had to change like. The Dig Inn is a place where you stay.
Yeah.
So they had to take off the INN.
It was either like we do a brand expansion and open a hotel, or we shorten the name, and they went with the latter.
And it's like instead of actually, it's not a bad idea. It's like instead of a bed and breakfast, it's like a lunch nap place where you can go and like you can go on your break from work for an hour and you can like eat for 20 minutes, take a 20-minute nap, and leave. Dig In. Maybe they should think about that.
Yeah. Food for thought. I like it. I mean, yeah, to the point of the 8 shows a week and kind of being able to eat whatever you want, you're in the best shape of your life.
Talk about it.
Let's. How is it for you? You talked about the fact, you're in your underwear in the show. You were in your underwear when you performed a number from the show on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
And it's very exposing, but people like it. But how is it for you? I know you said after some time you just kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
But is there any part of you that's like gone beyond that and is like, enjoy this, ladies and gentlemen?
Worship me now. You may worship me now.
Yes.
Do you know that was the working title of Sherry Renee Scott's show?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I saw it at the Eugene O'Neill Theater. Wow. Yeah. On our night off from Spring Awakening. You may worship me now. Yeah, like on film or in Spring Awakening, when we had the sex scene, I didn't think about being naked because usually when I'm naked and I'm having sex on camera, I'm thinking more about like the blocking of, I'm not thinking about how my body looks necessarily. It's in there, but it's not like presenting my body to the camera or presenting the body on stage. It's like it's intimate. The lighting is a huge part of it. And the blocking of the fucking. Hi, Mom. But in this one, because it's like a reveal of me shirtless, it felt more like, and look at me, it felt a little more like showboating my body for like the fun and wink of it than like being naked in where in the show it's like the song Splish Splash, and it's based on this black and white clip of Bobby Darin where he's in a cutout of a bathtub, which is almost like directly replicated on Derek McLean's set, and he's like with a scrub thing like this, and he's peeking out, and he comes out in a robe. This is like what we're paying homage to. And then when we were at Shannon Lewis, the amazing choreographer, we were like working on the staging of it with the director Alex, and it just felt like fun to like open the curtain. We wanted to do a section where we opened the curtain and I was like doing this, and I was like, it feels weird to be doing that and I'm wearing a bathrobe. Alex and Shannon and everybody were like, are you sure you want to like be exposed like this? They were very respectful of me being like demure and not wanting to show my body. But then I just felt like doing it. I enjoy the like flirtation between performer and audience of stripping down and showing a little skin.
What's your relationship like with vanity outside of work?
I don't look in the mirror a lot. I don't have an iron.
Do you have a steamer?
I don't have a steamer. These are not my clothes, what I'm currently wearing. Feeling like when I'm thinking about vanity, like when I put on pants and they're tight, I feel that can make me feel self-conscious, or like, when you're like not in the best shape and you feel a little like, yeah, that is when I think about it. It's more of a feeling than it is like a visual thing of me looking at myself.
Mm-hmm. You are here right now. You are styled. You are groomed. You look incredible. When did that enter the fray for you?
I remember Shay Martin. Shout out to Shay Martin, my first publicist, who now lives in Colorado. He came to see me in Spring Awakening, and he said, I want to represent you. And I was like, I'm not really like into publicity. It's like, I just want to act. And he was like, I know, but I really think that you should start cultivating like awareness of your work, let's say. I was like, okay. And he was like, I'll work for you for free. And he worked for me for free while I did like off-Broadway plays for like 2 years after that. And he sort of was the one that was helping me in the beginning be like, and you could get someone to like give you clothes, so you don't have to, if you feel like there's an event and you don't have anything, you don't have to go like buy an outfit. You could find someone to help like lend you an outfit that you give back at the end of the day. So he was the one that started that for me. And it was around like, I'm remembering now, like when I got Glee, then I started paying him as my publicist. And that was when I think that started.
Can I make an observation?
Sure.
And one of the things I really like about you.
Okay.
I think when that part of the business enters into one's system, they can become so engrossed in that side of things. The free stuff, the trips, the opportunities, the everything that's sort of like the doors open when you have a little bit of light on you in this industry. And you, because I know you a little well, and you consistently are work forward. And I think a lot of people that I've encountered kind of get swayed away from the work into the byproducts of the work.
It's just like my natural taste. I'm like, there's a essential truth that I believe nothing really comes for free. That like when I'm accepting free things, I don't really believe that it's free. That like there is going to be some exchange somehow, even if it's not necessarily money.
Let's say I don't subscribe to that. Do you believe that the free things that I intake, I will have to, like they will affect others, or it's only if you believe it yourself?
I don't know about anybody else.
Okay, so
yeah,
you know
I
for
just
yourself.
feel it for myself. Yeah, like
Because now I'm just
Are you
thinking about some of the,
relieved?
well, I just was like, some of the free stuff I've gotten, I was like, I don't know, maybe I need to like,
No. Oh, you're perfect. You're perfect. Don't change the
Thank
thing.
you, thank
No, this is for my own. It's like my own. It's a slippery slope. I'm also like, maybe it's my Mennonite background, my dad's side of the family of like, they're not spenders. It's like, it's just like, and I do spend. It's not like I'm like an Amish or something, but it's like, it's not in my, it's like not in my muscle to be like, I got this, and now what will I buy? And now I got this. That's like that I come from just like a long line of people that are savers that don't really spend their money.
I feel like your indulgences are like into your home.
Yeah, they have been.
Like-
And that was even tough. Like I could really do serial killer. I could really do stacks of books, nothing, mattress on the floor. I could do that.
Wow.
And I really have consciously, when I got this most recent apartment a couple of years ago, have been like, okay, I want to invest. I want to challenge myself to invest in expressing myself in my apartment, make it mean something to me, and try to just engage with that more.
But you don't think this is like going to give way to like Architectural Digest presents Jonathan Groff's house tour?
I said no to that. I don't want to do like, partially because I want my, Layden Lewis, the amazing interior designer, shout out to Layden, who helped me with my apartment in New York. We were talking about like how I want to promote his work, and I'm so happy with what he did. And he was like, what about, the walkthrough of your house? And I just was like, maybe in a couple of years, but I don't know, I'm private.
2 show days for Just in Time specifically, right? This is about 2.5 hour show. So when you do a 2 show day, you're doing 5 hours. But the thing about you, tell me if I'm wrong, I don't get the sense that it's that hard for you. I think there's just something about you, and I've had conversations with mutual friends of ours about you in this way. I won't use the word easy. I'm using the words not hard.
Okay.
Which means there can be other things.
Yeah.
And hey, tell me I'm wrong here. But what is it for you that makes you so capable of doing something like a 2 show day and being able to maintain a semblance of self?
I think what you're speaking to, which resonates, is I love it so much. I like this and this show in particular, that and like wanting to do a musical of singing and dancing and like kind of an old school Broadway thing is literally the biggest dream of my whole life. Doing this, what I'm doing right now. I like being on Broadway was a dream, but like when we did Spring Awakening, that show was so cool and interesting. But I was like, if I was buying tickets this season, I would go to Legally Blonde before I would go to Spring Awakening. I like musical comedy and like dancing. That is like the nerd in me. Millie, I saw 6 times, as you know. Like getting to do this show is like the Broadway dream that I've always had. So, and we've been working on it for 8 years. So when I get out there to do it, it's not only the dream that I've always had, but it's like a thing that we've fought to make happen. So when I go out there, it feels like the reward of all of that time and the articulation of a childhood dream. The difficulty comes in when I start the run of a show. It's adrenaline. I am like, and like Leah Michelle is rehearsing chess right now, and she was like texting me. She's like, I have to come over to your apartment, like to just like quickly to talk to you, to have a coffee. And she and I both have this thing. She was like, I'm in rehearsal and I am vibrating so hard. She's like, I woke up at 3 a.m. Because I'm so excited, because I feel so alive, and I had to come and talk to you about this right now because I know you get this. It's like I get amped. And so for the first, like, you're making the show and it's like the adrenaline is going and it is extreme, and that carries me through so much of it. And then we're in the 6th month right now of Just in Time. So like middle of July, I don't know what happened. I did something in my shoulder and I have had like a pinched nerve. And I've been going to like massage, acupuncture, trying to release. But for like a solid month, I was in pain for the whole show. Like the dancing, it was like comical. I was in like such extreme pain. And that's when I feel like a professional actor. When your body is like, or when I'm sick or whatever, and I go out there and it's like, okay, this is my lifelong dream. We've been working on this for 8 years. My body right now doesn't want to dance. Sometimes my voice doesn't want to sing. And so now I have to dig into the craft of what it means to fucking show up and do your job, and like figure out the way to never let the audience know that it's work. And so it's both, but it's both. It is like my life's passion, and when I'm feeling healthy, it's like flying. And when I'm negotiating other things, it's like it's full of like, it's like yoga. Like doing 8 shows a week is like yoga, where some days you hit the mat and you're like, I feel incredible, and some days you hit the mat and you're like, whoa, I'm falling off my leg, and it becomes a kind of like therapeutic, meditative process of loving yourself and figuring out ways to do the thing that you do, even when you're not feeling your best. But it's really intense. It's like, it really tests your mettle, the 8 shows a week.
I feel like you like to be tested.
I do.
How's the pinched nerve?
So much better.
Oh.
This, like, as of, like, Thursday of last week, I did the show with no pain. It was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Huge.
Thank you.
Okay, so you are not a huge consumer of reality television, to my knowledge. So, like, you've never seen a Real Housewives.
Correct.
Have you seen Drag Race?
I've seen many seasons of Drag Race.
Okay,
Yeah.
you've seen Drag Race. Vanderpump Rules? No.
Nope.
Love Island? No.
No.
None of that.
I watched So You Think You Can Dance. I was really into for a couple of years.
Okay, yeah, I can connect the dots there. But I was alerted to the fact recently, not from you, from a mutual of ours, that you began dipping a toe into my favorite television show. And we have not yet broached this. I've voice memoed you about it. Still waiting to hear back. No harm, no foul. But I want to hear about your journey with Survivor.
I've never seen a single episode of Survivor, ever. And then the mutual that you speak of turned me on to Survivor Australia versus the world.
I can't believe we're having this conversation right now. I'm vibrating.
You're Leah Michelle in rehearsal for chess.
Yes, it's 3 a.m. I'm up.
I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I've never seen Survivor. Trying to move away from just watching YouTubes of Beyonce when I get home from the show. Like, can I please get some more thing? But I get like, it's like, yeah, I can get really into something. I loved it so much.
When you say loved it, does that mean that you completed the season?
I did. I watched the finale the night that the finale was out. Can we talk? Is it spoilers? Like, can we talk?
No, we can talk all about it.
Parvati, I was so happy that she won.
I just can't believe I'm hearing you say, like, Parvati's, there's a lot.
Parvati, it took me a long time also because it's a tough name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parvati, now it just flows off the tongue.
Yeah, so during her first season, playing the game Cook Islands on the American version, the host referred to her as Poverty. Yeah.
Did she correct them?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
She is so compelling. Everyone, I enjoyed the whole thing. There's something about her smile, her teeth. One of the things that I learned about watching Parvati play Survivor is that we have to treat life as a game. That, like, if a really profound life lesson from her was that she always had, like, even in the drama of it or whatever, there was always a sense of fun and of joy and of, like, a little bit of, like, like enjoyment. There was, like, a sense of enjoyment, whether that's who she is, whether that's how she plays the game. I felt like I want to take that into my life in the dramatic moments of tensions at work or relationships or whatever. The idea of having a sense of, like, just, like, slight detached enjoyment of it all, even when it's not going your way. I really felt like I learned a lot from her. But what a fascinating show. What a like interesting, and, like, at the end I didn't know the rules of the game. I didn't look it up before I watched it. So I didn't know until the finale that the judges decide who wins.
Yeah. So, I'm a big reality competition person.
Yeah.
And the reason I feel so strongly about Survivor, the scaffolding of the game, if you will, is because of what you're speaking to. This idea that you have to backstab or betray people, systematically vote people out. And then in the end, you have to do it in such a way that you have to earn their vote. And there are a lot of other shows that have come up, but the reason why I think Survivor still exists, the reason why I think you just watched a Survivor season in 2025 and are, like, shook, I think it's fair to say shook,
Yeah.
is because even when there's, a dud of a castaway or a challenge doesn't quite work, the construct of the show is so solid that it can really stand on that. Just, I'm curious, so you just watched Survivor Australia versus the World, which, for people that don't know, it is the Australian version of Survivor, but they kind of did this crossover season in which they brought castaways from all the different franchises. Parvati is from the American franchise. Suri Fields and Tony Vlachos were also on the show. It's a truncated 16-day game over 10 episodes, 10 perfect episodes of television, I would say. What were you
I don't know about 8. Like, I felt like 8 was okay.
Episode 8, or there were 8
Episode 8.
Episode 8.
Episode 7 was, like,
The double elimination?
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe you're this granular about it.
I know. I really got into it.
Episode 8 was Lisa's boot.
Was 8 Lisa's boot?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, take too much
Yeah.
longer on this,
Okay.
but I do want to ask, now that you've finished this season of Australia versus the World, there are 4 other Parvati seasons. Well, one, will you continue on with Survivor potentially?
I feel like I want to move forward.
Forward.
Yeah.
Like, as in, start with the season that's about to premiere in a few
Yeah.
weeks. If I may,
Yeah.
and I'll work with our mutual together, I
Yes.
think we could curate a sort of, like, some hits.
Okay.
And I'm good for this because I'm not just going to give you the iconic season.
Yeah.
I'll give you, knowing you and your sensibilities, some deep cuts, but I would be curious for you to dive deeper into the Parvati lore because, as you know, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Parvati, for me, is the real life Buffy. Yeah.
I know how huge that is for you.
Huge. She moves through the world with this assurance and with just nothing really bothers her. Or if it does, she figures out a way to get around it, but she
think that's what I'm
barrels
talking
through,
to.
yeah.
Like that. I was really inspired by her, the way that she lives the life in that game. Like she's sort of infallible, but vulnerable, but strong, but she's just, everything.
Yeah.
It's
like when she cried in the finale, it's that idea of like she's super tough, but she's not too tough to have made real, genuine connections. And by the way, her and Suri, that is a 15-year relationship.
Wow.
I did a little exit interview with Suri yesterday, and I'm like on this call, and I'm like, I'm never starstruck. And she gets on that call, and I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm like spending 15 minutes with Suri, and I just was like, okay, let's get to it, girl. Like straight to my questions. And here's my list.
Did she say anything interesting?
I was like, is there ever any part of you that if push came to shove, if the majority came to you and they were like, Parvati's going, would you get on board? And she was like, I'm locked in with Parv.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a viral tweet from July that reads, Jonathan Groff almost just hit me with his bike. Do you remember this incident?
I only remember it because people shared the tweet with me.
They did?
Yeah. And I just responded with Move by Beyonce. I don't think I almost hit them. I did almost hit someone, or I did hit someone on my bike I want to say it was like April of 2024, and I felt really bad about it.
I don't think this is that.
That wasn't that, yeah, because that was so long ago. And I got off my bike and had a conversation with this woman. She was walking backwards through the intersection, so she was walking forwards, and then suddenly she jumped back, and I hit her on the bike. But I don't think I almost hit that person. But I've had people tell me, you almost hit me, and I haven't.
I feel like it's kind of like a line that people want to use because you're a known biker throughout the city. And so it's like if you're gonna try and, formulate a viral tweet, it's like, wouldn't it be funny if Jonathan Groff hit me with his bike? Oh, I'll go on.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Do you ever see a side of yourself come out on the bike just due to having to navigate through this city? I mean, like, I'm not a bike rider, I'm a driver, but I've seen sides of myself come out on the road.
Isn't it interesting?
Interesting is one way to characterize it. It's, yeah.
I used to. In like 2010, I started riding my bike, and I started to get full of rage. And same thing with driving. I remember in my car around 2020 when I was back in Pennsylvania driving a lot, I was like, what is this rage that's coming out in me? Why do I get so, what am I repressed in my life that is coming out when I'm on my bicycle or in my car? And therapy and meditation have helped me to perhaps release some of that. And now there was a man that I was on my bike, this was like maybe a year or two ago, and I was slowing down at a red light, and he had the walk. And so I was like, there was a red light, and I was coming up to the intersection. I was slowing down. It's almost like balancing on my bike without moving. That's how I wasn't even really moving. And he walked across the crosswalk, and then he turned around and side-kicked the wheel of my bike. Just was like, bam! And said, fuck you, and then kept walking. And I was like, love. It's all good. He kicked my bike. That's what I'm trying to train myself, even when people are aggressively coming at you, to not engage. I don't have to let that in.
I'm not going to take that on.
I'm not going to take that on.
We've had this conversation. Do you remember at our last dinner about I'm not going to take that on?
No.
June Diane Raphael is an actress. She was walking into her door one day into her home. She looked back and someone was stealing her car.
Yes.
Her car was being stolen. And she turned back around, kept going into her house and said,
I'm not going to take this on right now.
I remember you telling me this.
So when that guy pushed your bike, you did, and I'm not going to take that on.
Yeah, because even when someone is coming for you, they're not really coming for you.
Headline: Sarah Jessica Parker, Jonathan Groff gather Broadway luminaries for gala luncheon. There is a photo of you and SJP. You are,
Oh my God, send it to me.
I will send it to you. You are locked in together. Your hands are on her shoulders. She's beaming.
I literally
up
just started
at you.
salivating.
I get it. Can you illuminate what this conversation was between the two of you?
What we were talking about?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we were talking about biking.
Huh?
And our friend Richard Plepler, she had just I think been in the Hamptons, and she was like, I was just talking about you with Richard Plepler, who was saying get him off his bike. We got to get Groff off the bike.
Wow.
He's leading a campaign.
For safety.
Yeah,
But you're a helmet wearer.
I am.
Just fundamentally, Richard feels
I think
it's
he
just
feels
not safe to bike.
Yes, I think he feels that way. And she was like, Richard was going off about you and your bike, and Matthew has been riding his bike to the theater for his entire life. She was like, it's been decades. Why now are people having opinions about the bike? She's like, bikes in New York. She was like, now there's bike lanes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matthew used to hold on to the bus and ride with his bike. It was way more dangerous back then. And I said to her, I think it might be the surge of the electric bike that's happened in the last 3 years, that I think pedestrians are way more scared, understandably, affected, and aware of the danger of what it is to ride the bike in the city, where people that weren't really clocking the bikes, now they're seeing the electric bikes zoom by and almost get killed by them, and now they're like, what is happening? What is happening right now?
I do have times when I'm on the electric bike and I'm like, I'm going so fast.
Yeah, this is a suicide. It's a suicide
But
ride.
I like it. It's
I get it.
powerful.
So that's what we were talking about.
Okay. Now this is Sarah Jessica Parker, your former co-star. For those that don't remember, you appeared on a season 1 episode of And Just Like That playing, hold on, don't tell me, Dr.
You have to tell me, I think.
Paul Frank? Does that sound right? Does that sound right?
It doesn't sound... It was definitely 2 first names.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank...
Something.
David?
Paul David? David Paul?
Good morning. I'm Dr. Paul David. I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long.
No.
So, what are we doing today?
Oh, no, we're doing him today.
Anthony Marantino.
The show just announced it's no longer with us. Did you continue to watch And Just Like That after appearing on the show?
I didn't. No, I I don't watch much television. I think the last television show that I watched from start to finish was Survivor. And before it was Survivor, it was season 2 of The White Lotus.
Wow.
That was the last show I watched from start to finish.
So you haven't even done season 3 of The White Lotus.
No. I know, it's really bad. I have friends that have created television shows that I am very close with that I have not watched. I'm not a watcher like that. It's I want to change. I'm ready to change. I'm here to say I'm ready to change. YouTube has been my
You're such a...
thing. I'm a YouTube queen, and I see so much theater. That's I love going to the theater. I love going to concerts. I love the live experience. It's harder for me to get my ex-boyfriend years ago. That's why I was watching Drag Race, because he was super into it, and I really enjoyed it. If I'm eating dinner and I'm not listening to a voice note from you, then I'm watching the Mary Tyler Moore Show, or I Love Lucy, or Sex and the City, shows I've already seen, which I would like to evolve more out of things I've already seen, but it's just that I go to it for comfort of things I've seen before.
See, this is interesting because it's I want to encourage you to break out of that, but in doing so, I don't want to discourage you from your comfort. So
I appreciate that. You know what? I can find comfort other places. And really with Survivor, although I did, my heart would race. I like. It was so exciting. It was so exciting that it's maybe not the most ideal thing to watch right before bed because we get so amped. But I think because the show is so physically exhausting that I'm doing right now, I'm able to watch something that's exciting and still fall asleep.
what's your favorite Sex in the City episode or beat, or like when I say Sex in the City to you, where does your mind go?
Okay, so I'll say that when I shot the show, watching her become Carrie Bradshaw was like, it was like incredible. It was incredible. She is a genius. And I like, after all of those years of watching her and then to be on a set, because Sarah Jessica is obviously, it's a character different than Carrie Bradshaw. And I'd met, like Sarah Jessica had brought her son to see Hamilton many times and came backstage and was so, as she's famous for being like effusive and articulate and wrote letters, and it was she was like such a like tender person. And then watching her like in a primal way like release something and become Carrie Bradshaw was so exciting. So the episode that I go to is like that day when I got home, I was vibrating from seeing her do that, and I bought a pack of cigarettes, and I watched I can't remember what season this is, but it's like when she's cheating with Big. Season 3, yeah. And so I watched like the string of those episodes and like smoked cigarettes out the window. I just was like, I am Carrie Bradshaw right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I like that. Your former co-star, Daniel Radcliffe, said he would burn the building down if you didn't win the 2025 Tony for lead actor in a musical. I'm sorry to report that you didn't, but you've won many awards. You know, you have a Tony.
Yeah.
Are you grateful that Daniel spared the building or frustrated that he lied?
Wow. That's a really good question. I'm not frustrated that he lied, but I would have been intrigued to watch the narrative play out of Daniel Radcliffe setting a building on fire.
Yeah. The headlines the next day would really be something.
Can you imagine?
Because it's like, if
The
there was
arson?
footage, that would be one thing, but just the headline alone.
Dan going to jail for arson.
Yeah. For
would
you.
have been epic. For me, yeah. What
Be
an act of
sweet.
love.
Yeah. You purchased assless chaps from the Leatherman to attend the Cowboy Carter tour. You went back a week later and bought a harness for Pride. Have you busted out either of those accessories since?
No.
No. Any plans to?
Definitely. Wait. I did wear it. I wore it to Haley, the woman that is dressing me right now on Just in Time, had a birthday party and the theme was cunt clave. And I whipped out the harness again for that.
Wow.
Shout out to Go and the Leatherman, who is my guy. He came to see Just in Time last week. We just immediately hit it off. I went in there looking for the assless chaps for the Beyonce concert, and it was like we just became fast friends, like soulmates. And then I was like, I really want to. I wanted to get like a proper harness. I have a harness that I got in Berlin when I was there and learning about like the club culture. And then I was like, I want an actual. Like I want to do the real thing that attaches all the way down.
Yeah.
And he was like, I got you. And so, yeah, it was great. I wore it to the theater that day for Pride. And I threw a Pride party in my dressing room. And then I went out after.
Do you feel like having that experience of like trying on the harness, is that something that all gay people should experience?
If they want to.
If they want to.
Honestly, for me, it like awakened things in me. I got like very excited. It felt amazing. And I remember feeling it in Berlin when I put the harness on. Seeing people in harnesses, I was like, what is that? Why do they do that? And then I put it on and I was like, I love this.
Wicked for Good is coming soon.
Let's
I've
fucking
asked
do
you this in private, but I want to ask you it
Yeah.
on the record here. It's odd to me that you have never yet been Fiyero on Broadway. Wow. Was that ever something that was in the ether? Why didn't that happen?
It never came up.
Why? I'm mad about it.
You are?
Yeah. You wouldn't want to hear you singing As Long As You're Mine? With Sherry Renee Scott as Alphaba? You wouldn't want to hear that?
Sure, let's go. I'll do it.
But
And I love Wicked. I think maybe I like when Wicked came out in October 2003. I remember I got the CD. I went to the open call in the year before in New York. I drove up from Pennsylvania to audition for the Sound of Music tour, which I got, and I went to the Wicked open call. And I remember I had read the novel, and I heard the music, and I was like, this is so amazing. But maybe I was too distracted by the witches to even think about Fiyero. I just wanted to be Elphaba.
so do you want a Broadway backwards situation?
I don't feel compelled to play them.
Fair.
Yeah, I just love Wicked, but I think maybe I just love it, but I don't have the pull to do it, which is maybe weird as an actor. But I've seen Wicked on Broadway so many times. I would go again tonight if you were like, let's go see Wicked.
Oh my
I
God,
would be
I
like,
would love to. Well, you have a show.
I have a show, yeah.
Yeah. Your No Good Deed, I think, could really stir something up in people. I'm just saying. What about
Oh my God, I just felt it. Actually, you know what? Hand me the mic. Let's fucking go. Melika Naman Naman.
wait, what
I don't even know what I'm reading.
What about it? Because have you done an album? Sorry, I don't know this.
I haven't.
What about an album of Broadway standards? I mean, I know it's kind of a little predictable, but I think people want it.
Maybe.
Let's have a business meeting. Let's get that in the pipeline.
People, yeah, I've been asked to do some albums. I this Bobby Darin project has been so I just have wanted to do this so bad. And so in some ways I've been waiting to record, and we recorded the album for Just in Time. It's out right now. The vinyl comes out in November, and Atlantic Records, funnily enough, who was Bobby Darin's, they recorded Ahmet Ertegun at Atlantic, legendary record producer. They were Atlantic was about to drop Bobby Darin, but he would hear Bobby practicing in the next room, and he was like, no, we got to give him one more shot. And splish splashed. And then Bobby Darin says to Ahmet at Atlantic, I want to do standards. And he laughed, thought he was joking. Mac the Knife, he wins the Grammy. He's a huge history with Atlantic Records. Atlantic produced our cast album, which is so cool. And we're in the basement of Wicked, as we say it at the end of the show, Just in Time in the basement of Wicked. The attic of Wicked is Atlantic Records. Their offices happen to be in the same building, which is crazy. So anyway, all that to say, I've been developing this project for so long, and I start the show and end the show as myself, and I'm not doing a Bobby Darin impression. I'm doing in the way that he was a chameleon. You kind of can't do a vocal Bobby Darin impression, because when you listen to Splish Splash, Mac the Knife, Dream Lover, or If I Were a Carpenter. It sounds like four different people. He was changing genres so much. And so this album, Just in Time, and this experience, I wanted to fully express and do that, because in a way it is myself recording standards in some sense, because the vocal choices and the way that I'm expressing myself is like a kind of hybrid between Bobby Darin and myself. It's like got a foot in the past and a foot in the present.
Splish splash, I jumped back in the bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? There was a splishing and a splashing, reeling with the feeling, moving and a grooving, rocking and a rolling.
In a way, I feel like I have recorded an album of standards, and it's what I'm doing right now. I'm interested to record things moving forward, but I just like, it would take the, like, what's the story? What am I singing about?
Yeah.
Like, just to record songs that I like doesn't feel interesting enough for me to like get in a studio and do that. It would have to be connected to something
Okay.
deeper.
Let's table this.
Okay.
I think we should do something together. I don't know how,
Okay.
but I'm just putting that into the ether.
Okay, you're gonna like produce my album?
Yes. If you'll have me. I mean, yeah. But yeah.
I feel like you'd be so good at that.
I think it could be fun. Anyway, before I let you go, I want to bring in a special guest that we have in the room.
Yes.
My mother is here. Mom, do you want to come and sit next to me? No,
Yes,
you
get
can
in
come.
here. Oh my god, you're gonna sit next to each other?
Yeah.
Once in love with
Okay.
Amy.
So, Mom,
That's what I was named for that song.
we've
No
both,
way, really?
Seriously. Yes, Ray Bolger.
Yes.
My parents heard that song. That's where my name is from.
Oh my gosh.
Mom, thank you for being here. You've never been on the pod before. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Let's hear it for Amy.
You love Jonathan,
do.
and I wanted to just give you the
And I
mic. Do you?
and I love
And I
you.
love you as well.
Oh.
Do you have any questions for Jonathan to close us out?
One thing I just want to say, sitting watching you, I just couldn't help but like this little kid that sat in the back seat of my car and just told all these funny stories and laughed. It is such a joy
Thank
to
you.
see you do this.
Thank you.
Oh my
Thank you
god.
for letting me have this experience.
My pleasure.
Yes. It's so beautiful.
Jonathan, you said something before that piqued my interest. You said both things can be true, which I try to live my life like that.
Yeah.
What's like a role that both things were true for you? It's like it you loved it, but you also there was like a yin yang for you.
Oof. The first thing I'm thinking of actually is the TV show that we shot in your hometown. Like basically down the street from where you live or lived. Yeah, it was Mindhunter, which was like the most dark, like disturbing, devastating worlds to live in. We're talking about like the mutilation of bodies and young children being killed and depravity and sociopaths. And that was, on one hand, incredibly challenging to invest in every day, long hours shooting. But then on the other hand, you have like one of the greatest directors of our time, David Fincher, incredible cast, Hold and Anna and everybody, the people that played the serial killers. Like, it was such challenging, like, hard material and real life stories to take in, but at the same time, one of the most transformational acting experiences of my life.
People continue to clamor for another
For
season.
Mindhunter. I know, everyone always says,
Yeah,
when's it coming back?
yeah.
Life.
Life. Jonathan, it's been a pleasure.
Oh.
Amy, it's been a pleasure.
Amy, wait, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
For all of Evan's fans that are listening to his podcast, what is one thing about Evan
Ooh.
that you know that none of us know that you feel would be fun and comfortable to share? What's the thing? What's like a fun story or a thing about Evan?
Okay. Evan, I have a friend that was his religious school teacher, and they collected charity money every week to give to the poor.
Oh.
He came to class one day and had taken $20 from Dad and Mom and gave it to her and was like, here, this is my charity money. So, yeah. Also, his nickname was Skippy. Because he skipped. He was really a happy person.
That's so cute.
And I remain a happy person.
Wait, the money follow-up, meaning like he took it without asking
He
you?
took it without asking.
Okay,
So it was
stealing from the
like
rich and giving to the poor. It's very
stealing,
Robin
but,
Hood of you.
charity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, resourceful.
He was
Yes.
very proud of himself because he was giving it to a good cause.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plus, I'm sure it's not every day they get a, $20
She
bill.
was shocked. She was like, "This is great."
Yeah.
Work.
Thank
Work,
you.
Skippy.
Yes, work, Skippy. All right, what's your nickname growing up?
I didn't have one.
You didn't have one? Were you Johnny? John? Jonathan?
Always Jonathan.
Always Jonathan. Wow. Would you have a nickname now? Groff. And Groff Sauce.
Groff, J. Groff, J. Groffy.
Thank you so much for being here. A
Oh
pleasure.
my gosh, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And thank you for
Thank
having
you.
your mom. This is like so special.
Yeah. I was like, if there's one guest I can bring my mom for, that will be... Because, not everyone's going to be nice to someone's mom.
Look
You're
at you, and you
nice.
look so beautiful. This outfit and everything.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
What a sweetheart.
Thank you.